And Yukiro here. And today I was supposed to be going live, but things kind of got in the way. So instead, I am here to talk about the new Fallout TV series. I wasn't sure if I was going to watch it at first because the game to movie or TV series doesn't always translate very well when it comes to some of my favourites. So I wasn't sure whether or not I'd enjoy it, but I kept hearing like good things about it. So I thought, well, I'll give episode 1 a try, and if I don't like it, I don't like it. If I do, then I do. So my first thoughts going into it were, it was alright. I wouldn't say it was groundbreaking, at least the first episode anyway, but when you compare it to other things that have been translated into movies or TV shows, it was actually really decent. This should be the bog standard for, game to movie or TV series or any adaptations. Unfortunately, that's not the case. I think the worst one, in my opinion, was it doesn't exist in my head. Unfortunately, it does exist, which is Dragon Ball Evolution. That was definitely one of the worst adaptations I've ever seen. I've seen some pretty good ones. One of my favourite adaptations was The Last Unicorn, although that was to an animated movie, not a real life sort of adaptation. But I think that in part was due to Christopher Lee. He plays the part of King Haggard, and he was a huge fan of the book, well, fantasy in general, but he was a huge fan of the book, and he showed up to the interview with the book. And it was thanks to him that so much of the book was kept in the movie. Fun little fact, Studio Ghibli, before obviously it became Studio Ghibli, was the sort of like animators that behind animating it. Anyway, I'm getting a little off track. So my first thoughts really were, it was definitely a decent adaptation compared to what we've unfortunately been accustomed to getting. There were some parts of it I didn't like. So for those of you who have at least played 3, if not New Vegas, the dog character Dogmeat was never a purebred Alsatian. It was just a mutt that had, been born and bred on the streets trying to survive. Now, obviously in 4, they went the Alsatian route for some unknown reason. And don't get me wrong, I do like Alsatians. I like most dogs, especially the big breeds, although I personally can't have big breeds because I'm only 5'2", and small person trying to control a big dog is just not happening. That would make for a funny sight though. But yeah, that's just not happening. So I would have preferred if they had kept with the mutt rather than the purebred, because let's face it, after a couple 100 years of no interaction really with humans, dogs aren't going to be purebred. I mean, even if you do end up having a purebred dog, it's gonna be so inbred that there's probably going to be a lot of issues with it. Now, obviously, the TV adaptation has Dogmeat coming from a lab, so in a way that they did help that make more sense. But it still sort of bothered me because obviously original Dogmeat was just a mutt, not an Alsatian. The other bit that I wasn't really too keen on was the female main character. Kind of, at least the first episode, she came across as this typical badass, I don't need no man stereotype woman. This does actually improve throughout the series, which I was actually thankful for, because I don't mind a strong female lead, I really don't. But when you have the strong female lead like always winning and always beating like people who are supposedly like trained like in like combat and supposed to be like these trained warriors and fighters and whatnot, and yet she has only like practice experience and not real life combat experience, yet she's still somehow winning. That kind of throws me, like, kind of takes me out of the realism. And I'm not a person that says, oh, it's fantasy, it doesn't matter. I hate that. For me, fantasy has to have some level of realism to it. Even if you make that realism up, like you want something to fly, magic, make your magic rules to allow that. But if you just say, oh, it's fantasy, it doesn't matter. It does matter. At least to me, anyway. But thankfully, that doesn't happen all the time. She's still a little bit too perfect for me. I would have liked a little bit more flaws, other than the usual, oh, I'm perfect, I'm naive, I don't know how the real I can't speak. I don't know how the real world works. Oh no. So I would have liked a little bit more depth to the female character. Having said that, she's not... I wouldn't class her as a Mary Sue, though. She's definitely a little bit too perfect, but not to the point where she's a Mary Sue. I do like the male main lead. He seems pretty cool. He's pretty funny. He's just trying to, show the world that he belongs where he is, and then obviously things happen. I'm trying to keep this as spoiler-free as I can. So I quite liked the main male character. Ghoul, I actually really liked him. He was pretty badass, pretty funny. I can definitely see why he'd become the way he is. I would like a lot more to see more of how he becomes who he is compared to who he was. But I have a feeling that's coming, because they have been showing quite a lot of that already, with flashbacks. So that was pretty good. I did end up binging like the whole first season, or what's released anyway. So that's kind of why I ended up oversleeping and not streaming, because silly me, I can't just watch one episode. No, I ended up watching all is it 6, 7? I don't even know. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning by the time I'd finished. I was like, wait, what was the time? Oh no. So yeah, so forgetting the fact that I was going to go to bed early and stream for you. Yeah, so that didn't happen. I do apologise, but there we are. So my general thoughts are, I definitely think I could have done with some more time without like too many people around. So for those of you who haven't played Fallout, I can't really say the same for Fallout 4, because that was definitely a little bit more people-y, if that's a word. But Fallout 3, and from what I was able to play with Fallout Vegas, New Vegas, I can't speak, but it was more isolated, and I would have liked to see more of that. Obviously they did do a little bit of travelling, but it was kind of, oh, they're going to spend a couple of minutes on their own and then boom, back into civilization again, or a vault or whatever. Yeah, I think they could have done a bit more of the trying to survive in the wilds kind of thing, or coming across like the odd person who they weren't sure they could trust but ended up could or couldn't trust. I would have liked to have seen more of that rather than the people-y bit. But I get this is, the type of TV show where interactions with other people is going to be the main focus, so I can understand why they're not. But again, Fallout is end of the world scenario, so there shouldn't be huge civilizations of people. Mutant wise, I think they did pretty okay. I'm not entirely sure what one of the mutants were, or if they were in one of the games. I don't recall seeing them. I'm still trying not to give any spoilers. They kind of reminded me of an axolotl. I'm not sure if that's what they were going for. Potentially they were, because it had the fin things on the side of the head. So I would have liked to have seen more of the original mutants. I think they had the bugs. I can't remember what they're called now. My mind's completely gone blank. But I would have liked to see some rad scorpions. Maybe that'll come in season 2 or something. So I would have liked to have seen some super mutants. Maybe that they'll come in season 2. Or maybe we'll come across a vault and discover their origins. I know we've already had an origin story for them in Fallout 3. But it would be really nice to see that in the TV show, or just generally have them show up at some point, even if you don't learn the background of them. Although it would be really nice to see that. I do like all the references in there that they've dotted about. So obviously you've got the Nuka-Cola, you've got the music, which I'm really, really glad that they kept the music in. I absolutely loved the music from the games. Whenever I'm traveling the wastes, I always have the radio on just to listen to the music. So I'm glad they had that in there. I think they added a few new songs, unless it was from Fallout 4 or Fallout 74. I think the online one was. I haven't played that one for many reasons. I'm not a people-y person. Plus all the issues it has. But anyway, ignoring that. So yeah, I'm glad they added like all the music, because that was some nostalgia right there. And I'm glad they added the robot. I think it is voiced by the same person as who does it in the games. Fairly sure, anyway. Cogsworth, I'm talking about, obviously. I would like to see more of those, even if they're not speaking, because there are some people who program them to sort of like fight for them. So I'd like to see more of those. But I'm happy that we managed to get at least one instance of a Cogsworth showing up. And it was nice to see the origin behind the person who voiced Cogsworth in the show. That was quite interesting. I'm not too keen on a few of the characters, but I'm interested to see where they go with them. It's interesting to see the lore behind the vaults getting explored a little bit. I'm not sure how much was explored in 4, because I never managed to get to complete 4. I really should actually finish playing that game. I'm so lazy. So I know Vault Tech did a lot of experimentation, so I'm glad to see that that's getting explored quite a bit in the show. I know my friend said he wasn't too fussed on that, but it is within the game lore, so I'm actually happy that they've included that. But it's nice to see them. I don't think that was his problem. I think it was the Vault Tech will be the one to drop the bomb sort of thing. I think that was his problem. I suppose I should have spoiled it for that. Oh well, whatever. Although we don't actually know if that was actually the reason. I'm not even sure if that's actually what the reason was. That's what they're hinting at, but whether or not that is the actual truth or not, we don't know yet. But I thought that was interesting, because I know I keep ragging on America, but that really is such an American thing to do. I'm so sorry. I really am. But you gotta admit, it's an American thing to do. Okay, so another thing I quite liked was how they weren't going to be shy with the gore. Because obviously those who have actually played Fallout, you'll know there's the option to have things be extremely gory if you need it to be. Which may or may not have been an option I took. You won't get that answer from me. So that was really nice to see, or not to see in some cases. I could have done without so much sex stuff, I guess, but it's an adult show, so adult's gonna adult. It wasn't so much that it was off-putting, though. Not quite level Game of Thrones sort of off-putting, but it was there. So do I think the hype is justified? To be honest, yeah. Yeah, I do think it's a little bit justified. Is this the best TV series I've ever seen, and do I feel really hyped for it? Not necessarily. However, it is one of the best adaptations I've seen in a very long time. I know there's been a couple of good adaptations lately of different things, but there's been just as many really poor adaptations of things. So I didn't want to get my hopes up. And I'm going to say I was pleasantly surprised. There's obviously still things I would improve upon it, but for the most part, it wasn't terrible. So I can understand why there's a lot of hype for it, and I'm glad it's doing really well, because good adaptations are hard to come by, and it's just nice to see someone take like the franchise I love and do well with it, and sort of like honor it a little bit. So it was really nice to see, them taking the time to understand the assignment and hitting a home run with it, pretty much. So I am genuinely excited to see more of it, and I don't know when the next lot will be released, but I'll be happy to continue watching it. It didn't make me rage like some other adaptations have. We're looking at new evolution. We really are. I've definitely seen better TV shows, but those don't tend to be adaptations, so I think the writers are, I guess, freer to do what they want, but at the same time, that's not always a good thing. So it's like, well, anyway. But no, I'm generally impressed by what I've seen so far. As I said, there's definitely improvements to be made, especially with some of the characters and some of the growth. But I'm interested to see where it goes from here and what they do with it. Hopefully, they can keep up this momentum and keep the series interesting while being true to the series. And I hope that we get more, I want to say, character development, especially for the main female lead. I don't want her to be like the badass woman that don't need no man, yada yada yada. I want to see general growth with her. I want her to seem more realistic. This may be a hot take, I don't know, but I'm just kind of fed up of the perfect female, to be honest. I want to see her really let loose and become part of the wastes. She doesn't have to be evil or anything, but, you have to do what it takes to save those she loves, sort of thing. Some more morally grey stuff, maybe. I mean, they're hinting at it, and they're trying. I'd definitely like to see more, because they're definitely doing that with the main male character, not the ghoul, the black guy. Sorry, I can't remember their names. Eventually I will. Is it Maximus? Yeah, it's Maximus. That's it. I should remember. It's. I don't think I've got a Maximus character, but I have a Max character. Anyway, that's a tangent. So they're doing that with Maximus, which I really like, because I don't like perfect characters. I like flawed characters, and I like characters who mess up, who have their badass moments, but are definitely flawed and able to sort of like lose now and then. And they're definitely doing that with him, which is really nice to see. So he's probably at the moment my favourite character. Although the ghoul guy, I can't remember his name. It'll probably take me a while to memorise all the names, but I'm definitely liking him so far as well, because he's definitely the moral grey character for me. Obviously he has good things, and there's someone he wants to find, and I want to learn more about him and what he's about. But he's definitely the moral grey character, sort of like struggling to keep his humanity, and I think that's really interesting. So I'm really a fan of him at the moment as well. As I said, the female needs a little bit more faults, I think, for me to like her more. I don't hate her though. She could do with improvements, but I think she'll get there, hopefully. Are there other characters that I really like? To be fair, we haven't really come across too many of the main characters, so I think it is mostly those three as the main characters. Would I like to see more main characters? Probably not, because too many will sort of like crowd it a little bit. But at the same time, I think they could probably squeeze in one more main character at some point. I know they're going to have like antagonists and stuff. So some are obviously going to be more prominent than others. Some are just going to be like the one-off, like one episode or maybe a couple of episodes and then they're gone, sort of thing. So I know we'll have at least a few main character antagonists. I would like to see an evil main character, because that's kind of a staple for most like RPGs, even like end of the world scenario ones, because there's the option to either take the good route or the bad route, or a neutral route. So I'd definitely like to see more antagonists like join the party. Well, maybe not antagonists, but definitely more eviler characters join the party, to give them characters a bit more of a moral, do we do this because it's the right thing to do, or do we do this because we just want to have a laugh and this is going to be funny but it's so evil, sort of thing. You know what I mean? But yeah, so that's what I would like to see. I don't know whether or not they'll do that, because obviously for TV shows, they want you to like the main characters, but I also find that if you make the main characters too perfect, you're going to end up having the complete opposite happen, and people are just not going to gravitate towards the characters because they're just not realistic enough, and you can't really get inside their minds or anything. And let's be honest, people love a good villain. We love to hate a good villain. And although you don't need a villain in the party, you can definitely have someone that is like really not good. You don't have to have them like evil, but you definitely have to have them make some questionable choices, which is why I think I like the Ghoul so much, because he is pretty much a more grey character. But I've said that already. But anyway, yeah, so those are just some of my thoughts off the top of my head. This is a little bit of a rambly video because I did not script this. I just wanted to get my thoughts out while I still had them. And I am pretty scatterbrained at times, so my brain just stops working. But anyway, let me know what you think down in the comments below, and I'll see you soon. Hopefully I will stream maybe tomorrow now, although it's Friday, so I might not. I'll try and get as much work done as I can tonight, so then I free up tomorrow. Obviously I'll have my meetings, but we'll see. I can't make any promises, but I'll definitely try. Some things have popped up, so I may not be available Saturday now, but we'll see what I can do. Life's fun, right? Life's unpredictable and fun. Anyway, I'll see you all later. Hopefully we get some time to ourselves and actually stream, maybe chat, even if it's just a chat stream or something. But until then, I am Yukiro, your neighborhood Queenie Dragon, and I'll see you all soon. Goodbye.